Yeah, I mean it's just different, I guess. Advantages and disadvantages, right? Uh, Disadvantage is you have to kind of change because it's such a dramatic change, right? That you have to get into some scout looks earlier, some service team looks earlier, which kind of takes away from some other practice, but you got to dedicate yourself to it. Advantage is, I think, outweigh that. That it forces you to work on it now. When if we want to do what we want to do in this conference, right? We have to do well against a similar opponent in conference. So it forces you to work on, some base thoughts, some base schemes, playing off load blocks, playing off different just football fundamentals that are different preparing for them than anybody else. So a little mixed bag there.
Had a few more practices since we last talked to you. What's impressing you about the defense? How's it coming together?
Yeah, it's still a work in progress. Obviously, just getting live reps and scrimmage reps are just golden because you just can't simulate that working against yourselves. You can't simulate that in walkthroughs, and it came off a disappointing first scrimmage as far as the way I feel. And then all of a sudden you had another scrimmage and kind of another half scrimmage since then, and we have made gains since then. Have spotted out a couple different guys that without naming them, that we think are trying to build some depth in a couple positions. Still think we're extremely thin in a couple spots. And the biggest thing, I guess, negative or we have to work on, and we have to really stomp on the gas, is just develop a more of a toughness in out the group, fighting through some pain and fighting through some fatigue. And we're just pushing them to do that. But any great defense I've ever been around, you have that element. And that's something that you have to work on constantly, and something that we're working on right now.
Whenever I've listened in, seen Coach Bowers, he seems like he's trying to impart that same thing, the toughness on the guys. What's it been like working with him?
Oh, great. He's got a lot of energy. He relates to the kids well. He's a technician, and that group of his, since you mentioned them, that's one that we have to get that. We got to find some more guys that can play, and more guys that contribute, and more guys that can push themselves, beyond 3 or 4 plays. It's a long season, and there's long drives that happen, and just in a position where you don't have a lot of depth, those guys that are out there, you really have to get them to bust through barriers, right, and bust through mental blocks and ceilings that they have. And that's what we do as a coach. You have to take them places that they don't want to take themselves. And obviously, I think Coach Bowers is doing that.
Coach, can you speak to just the general progress collectively of your linebackers?
Again, it's a depth issue. I've had a couple guys that have been playing steady, and Boyles and Greer. They've had good camps, shown me some good things. And then, Andrew Mims has come up. He's going to have a bigger role than he had here previously. And the other one that's got the ability, he's been hampered by some injury, kept him out, and he's back now, and he's kind of rusty, is Bellamy, who's another one that has shown me he's got the physical tools to do it, but missing some practice because of injury. He's got some catching up to do, and got to get him right mentally and assignment wise. And so those 4 guys, and then we got 2 or 3 others that, again, I'd be foolish to think you can go through the season with just those guys. So I got 2 or 3 others that I'm trying to find out, trying to put them under the fire a little bit and see how they respond.
Coach, do you think this the transition from FAU to USF has been easier having Wes Neighbors on the defensive side and Charlie Weiss Jr. just having that familiarity with those folks?
No doubt. When Coach Scott let me have some input as far as who we could bring in. Coach Neighbors was my number one pick. You guys find that schematically we do things a lot different. Then it's very unusual, very unique. So being able to help me immensely to have a guy that knows the system, that I didn't have to take that time to reteach. And there's just some, little small nuances to it with adjustments and all. And so big advantage having him. And then just the grind in a camp of kind of working together with an offensive coordinator. I've been at places where it was just totally, closed off and separate, and every day was a guessing game, and it was always just offense trying to get the defense or defense trying to get the offense. Now there's times when we lock horns and we do that, and then there's times when, I'll want something emphasized so we can get better with good on good, and he'll want something emphasized so he can get better, good on good. So, I think Coach Scott mentioned to you that he feels that synergy or whatever between us that, that we can, I think we're getting things done at a more rapid rate because we don't have to have some of those barriers that happen sometimes in camp, especially with two new coordinators going against each other with pride and egos and guys just trying to shine and make themselves look good. And it's not about that. It's about those 22 out on the field there at that time, how good we can get them.
It just sounds like, based on this conversation, that across the board depth is your biggest concern at this point. Would that be accurate?
I've got a lot of concerns, yep. I mean, last scrimmage, we had way too many missed tackles, too many MAs in depth. I'm an eternal pessimist till we're celebrating in the locker room after a game. And then after about 2 hours, I'm a pessimist again for the next week. So, and it's just, lot of issues. We got to get some guys that are banged up back out there, and we do have to improve of creating some depth at some positions because it does bother me a lot.